But most of them started off the same way we all start off, with deep down feelings of inferiority and inadequacy. Because of destructive criticism, lack of love, and other mistakes that parents make with us in early childhood, we grow up with diminished feelings of self-esteem, low self-confidence, and sometimes a feeling that I'm not good enough in comparison with others. With low self-confidence, many people today work extremely hard on the outside to achieve success, but when they do, deep down inside they feel like imposters. This so-called fear of success is really a feeling of unworthiness that we can't seem to get rid of no matter how much we achieve. Many successful men and women are repeating the line to the song, "Is this all there is?" when looking around them at their homes and cars. You want to be happy. What people want more than anything else is just to feel really good about themselves. We want to be happy and positive and have a sense of well-being. Above all, what we really want is peace of mind. And you can only enjoy peace of mind when you feel confident in your ability to deal effectively with the requirements of life, with your family, your friends, your work, your customers, your social activities, and all the other things that you are involved in. The law of cause and effect tells us that if we want to enjoy the effect of high self-confidence, we need only engage in the causes of high self-confidence. If we can find out what it is that other highly self-confident men and women think and say and do, and then do the same, we will eventually get the same results. We will eventually feel the same way. We will eventually become unstoppable. Mental marathon training. It's often hard for people to believe that mental qualities can be developed, just as physical qualities can be developed. If this were a program on how to run a physical marathon, and I was offering to train you day by day over the next 6 months to run a marathon, you would come to realize that even a non-runner can go from being physically unfit to running a marathon of 26.4 miles in 6 months of disciplined training. Today, there are even men and women in their 50s and 60s who are running marathons for the first time with this kind of training. What this program will do for you is to put you through a mental marathon. This marathon will not be as arduous or painful physically as a physical marathon, but it will still require a tremendous amount of work. And the amount of work that you put in will exactly determine the results that you get out. If you follow these proven and practical principles, drawn from the lives and behaviors of the most successful men and women alive today, and all of which are scientifically validated by extensive research and experience, you can develop the self-confidence that you desire so that you can achieve anything you really want. So let's begin. Chapter 1. The Foundation of Self-Confidence. William Shakespeare said, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." Your thoughts and feelings about yourself and what you can do or not do are the sum total result of a lifetime of experience and conditioning, and usually have little relationship to what is truly possible for you. In personal development, there is a principle or a law of becoming that simply says that each person is in a continual process of becoming or evolving and growing in the direction of his or her dominant thoughts. Your body is also in a state of becoming. At a normal rate of cell death and replenishment, you have a brand new body every 7 years. But whereas your physical evolution in becoming is affected by the food that you put into your body, your mental evolution and becoming is largely determined by the thoughts that you put into your mind. You become what you think about. The law of concentration says that anything you dwell upon grows in your reality. Anything that you think about long enough and hard enough eventually becomes a part of your mental processes, exerting its influence and power on your attitude and your behavior. If you constantly think thoughts of boldness and courage and self-assertion, you become progressively bolder and more courageous and more self-assertive. The more you dwell on the person you would like to be, with the qualities that you would like to have, the more you implant those deep into your subconscious mind, where they become part of your ongoing evolution. What you habitually think about eventually becomes a part of your character and your personality. In this sense, you are a self-made man or woman. You are where you are and what you are because of the thoughts that you have allowed to preoccupy your mind. Whatever you have dwelled upon over the past months and years, you have become, and you are, right now, today, the result of all those thoughts. Not only have you made yourself into the person you are today, but you are continuing with the job of construction with every thought you think. Since this is an unavoidable fact of life, the smartest thing that you can do is persistently think the thoughts that are consistent with the kind of person you would like to be. Personal growth is not easy. However, for most people, thinking the thoughts that they would like to think about to become the person they would like to be is too big a leap. Most people continue to think about and talk about exactly what they don't want to happen, and then they are constantly amazed that exactly what they were hoping to avoid happens to them again and again. One of the most profound discoveries in all of human history is that thought is creative. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Like begets like. Your thoughts become your realities. You do become what you think about most of the time. You cannot harbor one kind of thought and experience a different kind of existence. This law of cause and effect works perfectly, everywhere and always, for everyone. The development of unshakable self-confidence therefore begins with you taking full, complete, systematic, and purposeful control over the contents of your conscious mind. Disciplining yourself to think consistently about only the things that you desire and to resolutely keep your mind off of the things that you fear. All of life is from the inside out. It is from the inner to the outer. The law of correspondence, perhaps one of the most important of all the mental laws, says that your outer world will be a reflection of your inner world. What you see on the outside is largely a reflection of what is going on inside of you. This is not only true for you, it is true for everyone around you. Your inner life predicts your outer life. Many times we see people who seem to be very nice and pleasant on the outside, but who seem to have continuous problems in their personal and business lives. We wonder, how could these unhappy things happen to such nice people? The unavoidable fact is that, with few exceptions, most of what a person experiences in his or her outer life corresponds exactly to something that is going on in their inner life, something which you seldom know. And it cannot be otherwise. True happiness and success comes from living your life in harmony with the laws that govern your being. Even though these laws are invisible, they are like the law of gravity, which is also invisible, but is to be violated only at your own peril. Happy people are those who obey and follow the laws of nature and live their lives consistent with those laws. Start with your inner life. If you want to enjoy self-confidence on the outside, you must practice complete integrity on the inside. The foundation of self-confidence is for you to live your life consistent with your innermost values and principles, while thinking and acting in harmony with your highest aspirations. Men and women with the most rock-solid self-confidence are those who are absolutely clear about what it is they believe to be right and good and worthwhile, and who live their lives consistent with these values. Everything they do or say is an expression of their innermost convictions. Your whole world can fall down around you, but as long as you know that you are doing the right thing, you will have a deep inner sense of calm that will manifest itself in an attitude of confidence and self-assurance in any situation. You'll have many ups and downs in life, But what is most important is that you remain true to yourself. And then, as Shakespeare said, "Thou canst not then be false to any man." Determine your values. The starting point of developing high levels of self-confidence and becoming a superior human being is for you to think through and decide upon your values. Superior men and women are those who have taken the time to decide clearly what it is they believe in and in what order, and they have then organized their lives so that everything that they do reflects those values. Recently, I addressed about 150 members of the national sales force of a very successful company. This company had started from an idea and had grown very rapidly in an extremely competitive market, and the company was very profitable. All the people at the meeting were remarkably positive and upbeat and had a special quality of goodness about them. When I commented on this, the president of the company showed me the value statement that the executives of the company had worked out before they had begun operations. There were 2 pages of values and principles which were given to everyone in the company when they began. These 2 pages had been subsequently reduced onto plasticized cards that each person could carry in their wallet or purse. The president told me an interesting story. He said that whenever 2 or more people in the company were wrestling with a decision of any kind, even over the telephone, they would pull out their plasticized cards describing the corporate values. They would then review the values together one by one and compare the various options available to them with each value. Whatever decision they finally made would always stand the values test without question. Values in business. In a recent study covering 25 years of business history, the researchers found that the companies that had very clear written values to which everyone in the company ascribed had earned an average of 700% greater profit over the 25 years than other companies in the same industries that did not have written codes of values. As within, so without. Whenever I conduct a strategic planning exercise for a corporation, the executives of the corporation always select integrity as their highest value and most important organizing principle for the entire corporation. In my experience, almost every corporation will select the value of integrity as one of their foremost organizing principles. Now, the word integrity, according to the dictionary, means perfect, undivided, complete, unified, a single whole, without blemish or fault. It's a fine value to choose. This is a good choice, but in reality, integrity is more than a value. It is the one value of mind that assures or guarantees all the other values that you select. The economic and personal results of individuals and corporations with clear values always tend to be far superior to those of companies and individuals whose values are vague or unclear. Clarify your personal values. Your starting point toward higher self-confidence and personal greatness is to first of all clarify your values for yourself. It is for you to decide for yourself the values that you believe in. What do you stand for? And even more, what will you not stand for? What values do you espouse that you are willing to sacrifice for? What values would you pay for or sweat for, or maybe even die for? Do you value your family, your God, your health, your work or career? Do you value principles such as freedom, liberty, compassion for the less fortunate, or reverence for life? Do you believe in honesty and truth and sincerity and hard work and success? Whatever your values are, think them through and write them down. The action that you take in any given situation will tell you which of your values is uppermost, or whether you have any values at all. It is not what you say, or hope, or wish, or intend, but only what you do that counts. Your choices of the actions you take tell you unerringly who you really are. In fact, you can tell what your values have been in the past by looking back and observing what you did under stress when you had an important choice to make. Did you listen to the better angels of your nature, or did you compromise for a short-term advantage? A person who says that his or her family comes first and then has to choose between working late and going to a child's school play or sports activity, and who chooses the child's needs over the boss's requirements, is a person who is living consistent with his or her highest values. Everyone has had the experience of walking away from a job or a relationship, even though considerable sacrifice was involved, because it was the right, though painful thing to do. And you probably remember how great you felt as a result. Whenever you act consistent with a higher value, you always feel terrific about yourself, and your self-confidence soars. But whenever you compromise your values for any reason, you feel uncomfortable, inferior, guilty, and your self-confidence plummets. The law of reversibility. The fact that your true values are only expressed in your actions brings us to a little-known mental principle called the law of reversibility. This law says that just as thoughts and feelings lead to actions consistent with them, the principle is reversible, and actions consistent with particular values or beliefs actually lead to the thoughts and feelings that would have triggered the actions. What this means is that even if you start off lacking a particular quality, if you deliberately act as if you already have the quality, you will eventually create within yourself the mental quality that corresponds to the action. Dr. William James of Harvard put it this way: action seems to follow feelings, but really action and feelings go together. And by regulating the action, which is under the more direct control of the will, we can indirectly regulate the feeling, which is not. The act-as-if principle. You can develop within yourself a superb set of values by acting as though you already had those values. You can develop integrity and courage and compassion and confidence by behaving as though you already had these qualities. And the more you act the part, especially when you demonstrate these qualities under stress, or when you feel like doing or saying something else, the more rapidly these qualities become a permanent part of your mental makeup. The more you practice good values, the more rapidly you become a truly superior person. The keys to developing the unshakable self-confidence that will make everything else possible for you is self-control, self-mastery, and self-discipline. Self-confidence can come directly by behaving in a self-confident manner, but it comes more often indirectly by doing and saying the things and practicing the behaviors that lead to self-confidence. And the most important self-development behavior is living consistently with your highest values at every opportunity. The principle of resistance. In weightlifting, muscles are developed by repetitive lifting of heavy weights. The heavier the weight and the greater the resistance, the more blood rushes into the capillaries and the bigger the muscle becomes. In mental development, there is a principle of resistance as well. In developing mental muscles, especially the mental muscle or quality of self-confidence, you can use this principle to accelerate your own development. Whenever you exert self-mastery and discipline yourself to do or say the right thing, especially under stress, you create resistance to your natural tendencies. This resistance generates friction. This is the same kind of friction or heat that, when applied to a crucible containing chemicals, will cause the chemicals to crystallize and take on a new form. When you create mental friction by resisting your natural tendencies and instead doing what you know is right and true and consistent with your highest values, especially in a difficult situation, the mental heat causes your values to crystallize at a higher level and eventually become a permanent part of your character. Developing inner strength. Each human quality is subject to this same formulation. Once you have persisted through great adversity, you are always capable of persisting through lesser difficulties. Once you have acted courageously in a major confrontation, you are always able to act courageously in the face of lesser confrontations. When you behave honestly when there are large amounts at stake, you are always able later on to behave honestly when you're dealing with lesser amounts. The foundation of self-confidence, the basis of boldness and self-assertion, is a deep inner trust based on living a life of perfect integrity and then disciplining yourself to live consistent with your highest values in every situation. Each time you do this, you will feel positive and happy and wonderful about yourself. Your behaviors will further crystallize in your personality and become a more permanent part of the exceptional human being that you are in the process of becoming. Now here are some action exercises for you to apply what we just talked about. Number 1, list your 3 most important values governing your personal life. Number 2, list the 3 most important values that you practice in your work and business life. Number 3, list the 3 people, living or dead, who you would most like to spend an afternoon with. Number 4, why would you want to spend an afternoon with these people? What would you ask them or talk about? Number 5, why would these 3 people want to spend an afternoon with you? What are your most admirable qualities? Number 6, list 3 times where you have lived consistent with your highest values when you could have compromised. And number 7, what are you going to do differently from now on to assure that your values and actions are in harmony? You would experience a tremendous sense of control, which is the fundamental requirement for happiness, well-being, and maximum performance. You would feel like the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. With unlimited self-confidence, you would feel completely self-determined and in charge of your life. You would experience a feeling of strength and power and purpose, and have a positive mental attitude toward yourself and everyone in your life and everything you do. With unshakable self-confidence, you would unquestionably be an exceptional human being. You can develop self-confidence. Unfortunately, however, this is not all that easy. Most people have limited self-confidence, and many people have no self-confidence at all. Human beings tend to be plagued with doubt about their own abilities and fears about every imaginable thing, especially the unknown. The psychologist Abraham Maslow said that the story of the human race is the story of men and women selling themselves short. The great majority of people tend to compare themselves unfavorably with others. They dwell on their own weaknesses and limitations, and they eventually settle for far less than they're really capable of. Instead of enjoying high levels of self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride, the average person just gets by from day to day. If self-confidence and the self-esteem that goes with it is so desirable, why is it that so few people have enough self-confidence to live the lives that are possible for them? There are 1,000 reasons, but perhaps the most wonderful discovery about self-confidence is that it is a mental quality that can be learned with practice. And because it is learnable, self-confidence can be developed and built up systematically and progressively over time by following the instructions in this program. The good news is that everyone has a certain amount of self-confidence, more in some areas and less in others. And by working from that base, it's possible for you to build yourself up to the point where you are completely confident in any area that is important to you. The Great Law. Perhaps the most important of all the laws that govern our lives was put forth by Aristotle in about 350 BC. He called it the principle of causality, and proclaimed for the first time that we live in a universe governed by order and that there is a reason for everything that happens. We call this the law of cause and effect, and it's often referred to as the iron law of human destiny. The law of cause and effect can imprison us in a cell of our own making, or it can liberate us by giving us complete freedom, depending upon how we use it. The law itself, like the law of gravity, is neutral. This law of cause and effect, which is both a physical and mental law, says that for every effect in our lives, there is a specific cause or causes. If there's an effect in our life that we want more of, like more money or greater success, we can trace it back to the cause, and by repeating the cause, we can enjoy more of the effects. If we're in sales or business, and we have successes, we can trace those successes back to the specific things that we did to achieve them, and by repeating those causes, we can enjoy the same effects again. This law also says that if there's an effect in our lives that we don't want, whether it be overweight or insufficient funds or problems with people or negative business conditions, we can trace that effect back to the causes, and by removing or changing the causes, we can achieve different effects or results. This law of cause and effect is so simple and obvious that no one seriously questions it. We live in a world and in a universe governed by law, not by chance. Everything happens for a reason. Neither success nor failure is an accident. They have specific causes, and when we repeat the causes, we get the same effects, no matter who we are. This is just the way the world works. The roots of low self-confidence. The world is full of people who are not happy with their results, and yet they continue to do the same things, think the same thoughts, say the same things, and take the same actions every day, and they're amazed that they continue to get the same negative effects. Einstein's definition of insanity was continuing to do the same things and expecting to get different results. However, this is simply not possible. The law of cause and effect applies with equal validity to our levels of self-confidence. All around us, and throughout human history, there are and have been men and women with exceptionally high levels of self-confidence who have gone on to achieve extraordinary things. In studying the lives and stories of these people, we find that some of them started out with high levels of self-confidence, which they learned from their parents in early childhood. Another mental law, also a corollary of the law of cause and effect, is the law of correspondence. This law says that your outer world tends to correspond to your inner world. Your outer world of health, wealth, and relationships will be a reflection of the way you think about each of these subjects. There is a saying that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Your thoughts and goals are like seeds, and your mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds, positive or negative, clear or unclear, you are planting into your mind will grow in your reality. Whatever you are reaping or experiencing today is the result of what you have sown in the past. Since your mind is not a vacuum, it doesn't remain empty. Like a garden, either flowers or weeds will grow. Your thoughts are the most powerful forces in your universe. They are both creative and causative. Every minute of every day they are forming the world around you. As Shakespeare said, nothing is, but thinking makes it so. Your life is what your thoughts make it. The law of concentration. Another principle that affects your life is called the law of concentration. This is an important principle in determining the development and maintenance of your self-confidence. The law of concentration, as mentioned earlier, says that whatever you dwell upon continually grows in your reality. Thinking about a subject, dwelling on it continually, is like watering and fertilizing a seed. Concentration causes it to grow faster in your experience. The more you dwell on any goal or subject, the more of your mental capacities are dedicated to making that goal or subject a reality. The law of concentration explains why unwavering dedication to a single purpose goes hand in hand with all great accomplishment. The ability to concentrate without diversion on a single subject to the exclusion of all others explains why ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. Peter Drucker once said that whenever you find something getting done, you find a monomaniac with a mission. Because of this mental law, an average individual with average capabilities, by bringing all of his or her mental powers to bear on the achievement of a single goal, can often accomplish far more than a seemingly more fortunate person whose energies are dispersed by having several goals at once, or, as quite commonly happens, no goals at all. The law of substitution. The law of substitution states that your conscious mind can only hold one thought at a time, positive or negative. And whatever thought is held continuously in your conscious mind will eventually be accepted by your subconscious mind as an instruction or command. Your subconscious mind, in harmony with these mental laws, will go to work 24 hours per day to bring your dominant thought or idea into reality. Your subconscious mind is inordinately powerful. It is the repository of all of your emotions and beliefs and values and attitudes and feelings. All your thoughts and feelings throughout your life are stored in your subconscious mind. The development of the unshakable self-confidence that you desire requires that you step up to your mental computer and take every step necessary to program self-confidence deep into your subconscious mind. The law of emotion. The final mental law you need to know in the development of purpose, personal power, and self-confidence is the law of emotion. This law says that every decision you make, every thought you think, every action you take is based on an emotion of some kind. And the two primary emotions are either the emotion of fear at one end of the spectrum of emotions, or the emotion of desire at the other end of the spectrum. When you hold an emotion-charged thought in your conscious mind, it is rapidly accepted by your subconscious. Your subconscious then activates all your mental powers and begins to turn that inner thought into a result or experience in your outer world. The more powerful the emotion, the more effect it has on your thinking and actions, the more rapid the change in your experience. If the emotion is strong enough, the change can be instantaneous. The power of decision. I had a friend who smoked for 30 years. He claimed that he couldn't quit smoking because it was a deeply entrenched habit, going back to early adulthood. One day, he had some chest pains and went to his doctor, who performed a series of tests on him. When the results of the tests were in, the doctor sat my friend down and told him that he had a serious heart condition and that if he continued to smoke, he would be dead within 6 months. Samuel Johnson once wrote, "When a man is to be hanged on the morrow, it clears his mind wondrously." The idea of dying was so emotionally charged to my friend that he took out his cigarettes, threw them in the wastebasket, and never touched one again. In a positive vein, if you're absolutely convinced that you are meant to be a great success in life, and that there is nothing in the world that could stop you from achieving great things as long as you threw yourself wholeheartedly into every activity and persisted until you succeeded, you would become an irresistible force of nature. The depth of your belief and the strength of your conviction would dramatically increase the power of your personality. If you really believed in your ability to succeed greatly, you would become unstoppable. The 4 C's of inner confidence. You can develop this kind of belief, this inner confidence, by developing what I call the 4 C's. Let's begin with the introduction. Entering the no-fear zone. According to Bruce Barton, he wrote, "Nothing splendid has ever been achieved except by those who dared believe that something inside of them was superior to circumstance." Welcome to the no-fear zone. In this audio program, you will learn how to develop confidence, courage, and unshakable determination in every area of your life. you will learn to approach the biggest challenges and opportunities of your life completely unafraid, convinced of your ability to accomplish anything you put your mind to. The good news is that you have extraordinary potential for success, achievement, and prosperity, with more talent and natural ability than you could use in 100 lifetimes. The only thing standing between you and the incredible life that is possible for you is fear of all kinds. And by the time you finish this book, your fears will be gone forever. For more than 25 years, I've studied successful men and women, looking for the characteristics and qualities they have in common that have enabled them to achieve so much more than the average person. I've read thousands of books and articles and research studies on success, and I've come to the conclusion that the foundation quality of success in every walk of life is self-confidence. Every man or woman who has ever accomplished anything out of the ordinary has turned out to have greater self-confidence than the ordinary person. And when you develop yourself to the point where your belief in yourself is so strong that you know that you can accomplish almost anything you really want, your future will be unlimited. A great question. A woman who had listened to one of my programs wrote to me recently and told me that one line in that program had changed her whole outlook on life. It was simply a question. What one great thing would you dare to dream if you knew you could not fail? When she began asking herself that question over and over, her entire view of what was truly possible for her expanded dramatically. She saw clearly what she really wanted to be and have and do, and she simultaneously realized that it was only fear and doubt in her own abilities that was holding her back. What would you do differently if you were absolutely guaranteed of success in any undertaking? What if some great force could endow you with the power to achieve any goal that you could set for yourself? To put it another way, what if you were completely unafraid of anyone or anything, and you felt completely free to act in any area in your own best interests? The fact is that if you developed the quality of unshakable self-confidence, your whole world would be different. Unlimited self-confidence. With greater confidence in yourself and your abilities, you would set bigger goals, make bigger plans, and commit yourself to achieving objectives that today you only dream about. You would take whatever steps were necessary to earn more money and enjoy a higher standard of living. You would set your sights on a bigger house, a better car, more beautiful clothes, and nicer vacations. You would want all kinds of things for your family and for those close to you. With unshakable self-confidence, you would do what you really want to do, and you refuse to conform to the wishes or opinions of anyone else. You would define your life in your own terms and live every day consistent with exactly what it is you want, and not the wishes of other people. With greater self-confidence, you would be a different person in every part of your work life and career. You might decide to ask for a promotion or a raise, or even change to another job or another company, or even another industry. You would move immediately to do whatever it took to get onto the fast track in your career. If you're in sales, you would call on more people, make better and more forceful presentations, ask for more orders, and close more business. If you're in management, you would organize and reorganize your human and material resources to create a work environment that suited you perfectly, rather than making endless compromises in an attempt to please a variety of different people. With greater self-confidence, you would be bolder and more imaginative. You would be more creative and willing to experiment with new and different ideas and ways of doing things. You would be willing to consider unusual and risky alternatives, and willing to commit yourself wholeheartedly to projects that are today sitting only on the back burner of your mind. More powerful, popular, and persuasive. If you had unlimited self-confidence, you would be more powerful, popular, and persuasive with other people. You would be more cheerful, likable, and welcome wherever you went. You would speak up and speak out clearly in your interactions with others. And you would be admired, respected, and sought after by everyone who knew you. Recognition and responsibilities would flow to you because of people's belief in your ability to do whatever it took to get the job done. Positions of prestige and status would open up for you, and people would bring you opportunities and possibilities that you cannot now imagine. Dealing with difficulties. With greater self-confidence, you could deal more effectively with the inevitable problems and difficulties that arise in day-to-day life. You would think continually in terms of solutions and how you could turn any situation to your best advantage. You would laugh at adversities that would dishearten most people and pluck success out of the jaws of failure. You would turn lemons into lemonade. You would feel invincible and unconquerable. With higher levels of self-confidence, you would be far more effective in dealing with difficult people and situations. You would be a far better negotiator and be able to ask for and get better prices, terms, and conditions in everything you bought and sold. Feel terrific about yourself. With greater self-confidence, with an unshakable belief in yourself, nothing would be impossible for you. More than anything else, you would feel terrific about yourself. You would feel truly happy about every part of your life, knowing deep down inside that you have the ability to take whatever steps and make whatever changes are necessary to assure that your life is exactly the way you want it. Who do you most admire? A useful exercise is for you to think of the men and women, living and dead, whom you most admire. What qualities or attributes of these people do you consider the most important? If you could be like any one of these people, which of their qualities would you most want to emulate? When you look around you at the people you admire, what qualities of these people do you consider to be the most important? What qualities do you look for in your friends and associates when you're trying to decide whether or not to become deeply involved with them? What do you think are the fundamental qualities or values that underlie business and personal relationships? What are your values? Now, values are non-negotiable. When you select a value, if it's to be one of your values at all, it becomes inviolable. Either it is a fixed value and you live every part of your life consistent with it, or it is not one of your values. You cannot have a value when it is convenient and put it aside when it is not convenient. You cannot have a little bit of integrity. It must be all or nothing. The act of selecting your values is also the act of clearly stating to yourself, and sometimes to others, exactly how you will live your life from this moment forward. Once you have selected a value, and you have declared it to be one of your unifying principles, you are in effect saying that this is something upon which you will never compromise. And your level of adherence to the values that you have personally selected is the real measure of your character, your true quality as a human being. Unshakable self-confidence comes from unshakable commitment to your values. When, deep down inside yourself, you know that you will never violate your highest principles, you experience a deep sense of personal power that enables you to deal openly and honestly and with complete self-confidence in almost every human situation. Values clarification. If you're having any difficulty in clarifying your values, a very helpful exercise is to take some time to write out your own obituary or eulogy. Imagine that everyone you know and care about is gathered at your funeral to pay their last respects. The minister reads your eulogy to this assembly of people, and in it he describes the person you became over the course of your lifetime. He describes not only what you accomplished and what you contributed to the lives of others, but he reads out the virtues, values, and qualities that you were known for by the people around you. This obituary can become your vision of the kind of person you wish to be and the kind of values that you wish to live by. No one is perfect, and we all have a long way to go in living our lives consistent with our highest values. But the very exercise of writing out your obituary will exert a powerful influence on everything that you do thereafter. Both consciously and unconsciously, you will be drawn toward living and acting more and more like the person you described in that final testament. Organize your values. Once you've decided upon your values, your work is not over. Now you have to organize your values by priority. You have to decide which value is more important and which value is less important. If you wrote out each of your values on small squares of paper, and then you had to throw away all the squares but one, which one would you keep? This then becomes your foremost value, the one that takes precedence over all the others. Which would be your second most important value? Your third, your fourth, and so on. Your order of priority is extremely important in determining the kind of person you are and the kind of life you live. Many people organize their values with number 1 being God, number 2 being their family, number 3 being their health, number 4 being their career, and perhaps number 5 being success. A person with this order of values is saying that, when push comes to shove, I will always favor the higher order value over the lower order value. Values order forces you to choose. If your family comes before your health or your work, you would always sacrifice your health or your work for the well-being of your family. If your order of values was changed and your work or financial success came before your health, you would be saying that you would sacrifice your health if that was necessary to get ahead in your career. I have known businessmen who put career success ahead of their families in their order of priority. When they had to choose one or the other, they regularly chose their work over spending time with their spouse and children. And as a result, both the marriages and the careers have run into serious trouble. Selecting your values and then putting them in order of importance actually creates a mental and emotional structure that enables you to make better decisions and choices in every area of your life. Integrity Revisited. The principle of integrity, or adherence to your values, seems to be a law of the universe. Whenever you violate or compromise your integrity for anything, there seems to be a great power or force of retribution that will not allow you to get away with it. Integrity seems to be an absolute requirement for successful human living. A failing in integrity or compromising your values not only seems to bring about a punishment that fits the crime, whether it's in business and politics or personal life, but it seems to create a high level of stress, unhappiness, and inner turmoil in the life of the individual. This need for absolute integrity seems to require that you live in truth with all people and under all circumstances. Living in truth means that you never live a lie. It means that you never compromise your integrity for the sake of a job or money or a relationship. It means that you always do and say what you know to be right and true, no matter what the short-term cost or benefit. Living in truth means that you do not pretend or practice self-delusion. You face life, your relationships, and your circumstances exactly as they are, not as you wish they would be. Living in truth means that you never stay in a situation that makes you unhappy or which you feel for any reason is wrong for you. Set peace of mind as your highest principle. Living in truth means that you set peace of mind as your highest goal and as your core organizing principle. You select all your other goals to be consistent with it. You never compromise your peace of mind for anyone or anything else. You do and say only those things that feel perfectly right for you. You accept your own thoughts and feelings completely, whatever they are, and you systematically change each part of your life that is not giving you peace of mind. Only in this way can you enjoy the high levels of self-confidence that are experienced by the superior individual. Only by insisting that everything you do allows you to live in peace with yourself can you feel really terrific about yourself and get along wonderfully in all your relationships. Your values are only expressed in your actions. Living consistent with your values is the key to happiness, harmony, well-being, and high levels of self-confidence. And this brings us to the final point in this chapter, perhaps the most important point of all. It is that your true values are only expressed in your actions, in what you do. You can tell what you truly believe by observing what you do in any situation where you have to make a choice. Especially when you are under stress and pulled in two directions at once, with opposing demands or responsibilities, this is when your true values are revealed. Chapter 2, Purpose and Personal Power. Orson Swett Marden wrote, "There can be no great courage where there is no confidence or assurance, and half the battle is in the conviction that we can do what we undertake." The development of unshakable self-confidence will open up such possibilities for you as you cannot now imagine. You will be able to dream bigger dreams, set bigger goals, make greater commitments, and plunge into life more wholeheartedly than you ever have before. Self-confidence is the hinge upon which turns the gate of individual achievement. When your self-confidence becomes unlimited, you'll be able to realize more of your potential than you could under any other circumstances. More than 2,000 years ago, Aristotle wrote that happiness is a condition. It is not something that is achieved by pursuing it directly, but rather comes as a result of our engaging in purposeful activities. The law of indirect effort. In a way, these words by Aristotle are a restatement of the law of indirect effort. This law states that almost everything we get in life involving people and emotional experiences comes to us more indirectly rather than directly. They come to us as a result of doing something else. For example, if we pursue happiness directly, it eludes us. But if we get busy doing something that is really important to us and begin to make real progress in the direction of our dreams and aspirations, we find ourselves feeling very happy indeed. Self-confidence is also subject to the law of indirect effort. We achieve higher levels of self-confidence, not by wishing for it, but by setting and achieving ever higher goals and objectives. As we move forward step by step, as we feel ourselves advancing in life, we feel better and stronger and more capable of taking on even bigger challenges. Become more confident and competent. We develop the confidence to tackle larger goals by applying our energies to the accomplishment of smaller goals. We build up our confidence as we move forward until we reach the point where there is nothing that we won't take on. In fact, the habit of setting and achieving ever larger goals is absolutely indispensable to the development of ever higher levels of self-confidence and personal power. You can only really believe in yourself when you absolutely know that you have the ability to do what you set out to do. True self-confidence comes not from positive wishing or positive hoping or positive thinking. It comes from positive knowing, based on having proven to yourself over and over again that you have what it takes to get from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. Self-confidence is a state of mind. It is an attitude, and as an attitude it is more important than facts. But it must be based on facts to be the kind of self-confidence that you can rely upon in a crunch. Your job is to do whatever it takes to convince yourself in your heart that you are absolutely unstoppable and that you can achieve anything that you put your mind to. Thought is creative. If self-confidence is an attitude of mind, it is based on mental principles and mental laws, foremost amongst which is thought is creative. You are not what you think you are, but what you think you are. As you systematically and deliberately change your thinking about yourself, your outer reality changes to conform with it. Your thoughts create your life, including and especially your thoughts with regard to your feelings of self-confidence. The reason why goals are so important is because of these mental laws, the consequences of which are inevitable and inescapable. You are happy and successful to the degree to which you conform your life and your thinking to these laws and live in harmony with them. The first law, which we have already discussed, is the law of cause and effect. This law is so simple and powerful that you need to remind yourself of it all the time. Everything that happens in your life, success or failure, wealth or poverty, health or illness, happiness or unhappiness, self-confidence or insecurity, are all subject to this law. The Bible teaches this basic law as the principle of sowing and reaping. It says that whatsoever a man soweth, that also shall he reap. This especially refers to the thoughts you think. If you sow positive, optimistic, uplifting thoughts in your mind, you will reap positive, optimistic, uplifting events and experiences in your life. And it cannot be otherwise. If you sow clear goals and objectives in your mind, you will reap clear results and rewards in your outer life. The law of attraction. A corollary of the law of cause and effect is the law of attraction. This is one of the most important of all mental laws in explaining what happens to you. This law says that like attracts like. It says that you inevitably attract into your life the people, ideas, circumstances, and opportunities that are in harmony with your dominant thoughts. Just like a magnet attracts iron filings, you attract whatever is consistent with whatever you are thinking about most of the time. Because this is a law, you cannot think one thing and attract something else. Whatever you are thinking about most of the time, you are drawing into your life from all directions. This is why fuzzy goals bring fuzzy results. Clear goals bring clear results. And since your level of self-confidence is directly tied to how effective you feel you are in achieving your goals, it's very important that you know exactly what it is you want and that you think of nothing else. The law of correspondence. The number one C is clarity. Decide exactly what it is you want to accomplish and exactly the kind of person you wish to become. The second C is conviction. Develop the unshakable belief that you can do anything you put your mind to. The third C is commitment. Resolve to do whatever is necessary. Develop the willingness to pay the price in advance for any success you desire. And the fourth C is consistency. Resolve to work on your goals every day, morning, noon, and night, until they are accomplished. When you back your goals and actions with clarity, conviction, commitment, and consistency, you're on your way to developing the kind of confidence that will make everything possible for you. The importance of goals. The reason goals are so important in the development of self-confidence is because the very act of setting a major goal for your life activates all the mental laws in your favor. When you set a big goal, it will be as though all the switches were flipped on in your engine of accomplishment and the afterburners were turned on to your potential. Clear goals free you from the law of accident, the tendency for things to happen in a random and unpredictable way. Goals give you a clear sense of direction and the knowledge that your life is self-determined. Goals give you a sense of power, purpose, and focus. They make you feel that everything that happens to you is part of an organized plan that is taking you step by step toward the attainment of your highest ideals. Your ability to set goals and make plans for their accomplishment is the master skill of success, without which very little is possible. The habit of regular goal setting and goal achieving is probably more important than any other skill you could ever learn. The master skill of success. Over the years, I have personally witnessed thousands of examples among my students of the amazing powers of goal setting. Recently, I addressed about 600 members of a national association at their annual convention in Phoenix, Arizona. During this talk, I emphasized the importance of writing down exactly what it is they wanted and then making written plans to accomplish it. That was on a Saturday. About 5 days later, on the following Thursday, one of the attendees called my office to get my fax number. He said he wanted to send something immediately and he didn't want to wait for the mail. The letter that came in told this amazing story. The gentleman who wrote said that he had heard about goal setting many times and he was prepared to be unimpressed with the talk that I gave at the convention. However, exactly the opposite happened. He decided to sit down after the convention and seriously write out his goals for the following year. The letter went on to say that on Sunday he made out a list of 10 goals, both personal and financial, that he wanted to accomplish over the next 12 months. What astonished him was that he had accomplished 5 of the 10 goals by Monday, the next day, at 5 o'clock. He could hardly believe it. So he quickly wrote down 5 more goals to bring his list for the year back up to 10. And by Thursday, when he wrote this letter or fax, he had accomplished 5 more of the new list of 10 goals. He felt that he had made more progress in a week with clear written goals and plans than he had made in the previous year. Remarkable success stories. Another gentleman, a recent immigrant from Pakistan, was dead broke and sleeping on the ground when someone tried to help him by letting him listen to an audio program of mine on goal setting. It transformed his life. 4 years later, he had started and built 2 successful businesses and was worth more than $1 million. A woman who was going through a difficult period of her life with both personal, health, and financial problems decided to sit down and set some new goals and make some plans to resolve her difficulties. As a result, within 1 year, she got out of a bad relationship, joined Alcoholics Anonymous and quit drinking, lost 40 pounds, and tripled her income to more than $100,000 per year. And she attributed her successes to the power of written goals. There are countless other testimonies to the power of written goals. I receive them in person and via email every week from people all over the world. And before this program is finished, I will give you a simple goal-setting technique that can put your whole life into overdrive. Fears hold you back. Remember when I said that everything you do is the result of either fear or desire? Fear is and always has been the greatest enemy of mankind, and it's also the greatest enemy of self-confidence.